Today's topic, I think, is dear to everyone's heart. How do you get a job? How do you bag a job? What do you do? What do you put in your portfolio?
How am I going to be different? What is unique about the application?
First job has to put you through that grind, has to make you slog, and has to make you cry a little bit.
Know yourself better and then you apply.
The kind of questions that you ask in an interview almost gives us a mirror into you as a person.
When it's your first job, people are looking at skills.
Don't just apply to 100 places and just see where you land.
Be able to work with people, always been about the right attitude.
So, of course, a portfolio has to attract someone. So we look for skill. We look for the value you're going to get to our practice.
Dress well, be presentable. You guys are all designers.
Social media can't tell what really happens behind the scenes.
Don't throw those sketches out of the window.
If you want it, if you want $1 million, if you want to be a billionaire, nobody's gonna tell you do this. Do this.
Hi, everyone. We are starting India Standard Time approximately 1 hour late only. Don't do it for your interviews. Okay. First pointer, never be late. Okay. So today's topic, I think, is dear to everyone's heart. How do you get a job? How do you bag a job? What do you do? What do you put in your portfolio? etc., etc. So without wasting too much time, we are going to dive right in. And to break the ice, what we're going to do is I'm going to request all the panelists to tell us a little bit about their first job or their first experience. So, Shilpa.
Hi everyone. So first of all, I'm Shilpa from Studio Osmosis. Thank you for having us all here. It's always nice to be with students because I think that's where the real world of designers is coming from, and you guys are all young and raw, and there's so much to learn and absorb, and we are still doing that, by the way. So, what was the question? Sorry, how are?
So the question was, what was your first job? Where
Yeah.
did you join, and how was your first interview experience?
Okay. So I'll give an. So this wasn't the first one, but I'll give an example of one of the jobs where. So I did my masters in the U.S. and then we had to apply. When you're applying for your first job in America, there's a lot of fear. There's a lot of unsurety. What is going to happen? Are you going to get the job? Which city you're going to get a job in? It's not even your country, first of all. So you're living in a completely new place. You're supposed to be ready to go to any city on the map. At least that's how it is. Kids today say, I only want to work in New York. And I'm like, wow, that's just amazing that you've already decided that you want to only live, work in New York. I think we just had to be completely open when we applied. So there were only physical applications. There was no concept of sending an Instagram job DM, or there was no Instagram. There were emails, obviously, which was the only way of communication. But as an added, like how will my email reach within lakhs and lakhs of emails? How am I going to be different? what is unique about the application. So what I and a lot of our sort of peers and applicants did is that we kind of created our portfolio into a little brochure, like a 3-page sort of folder that you are kind of seeing in most of these stalls here. When you go there, you get a little quick visual. So that gives your, people will, like just like your message today or your email today that you guys send, everybody gets exactly 5 seconds. I think that's exactly what happened when we send our applications out. So you had to impress in that 1 minute. So what are you going to put, which is your strength, which is what is going to call you for an interview? So I think those were the key things to keep in mind. The other thing was also researching a lot about the company that I was applying to. Because if they are specializing in something, I need to know that. I cannot, be like, oh, what do you do, what do you not do? So that background work, that research had to be all done. And then, of course, the interview itself. I think that first impression, and you are scared. At least I was then. And so I think that impression that you kind of carry forward in your interview, the questions that you ask or don't ask are really, really important. So you need to be prepared for it. And I think that entire homework was done when I applied for my first job. And yeah.
Great. So do your homework. I think that comes across very clearly before you go. Find out as much as you can about the firm. Over to you, Arun. You want to share some experience, some, nugget of valuable information for these young guys here?
Hi guys, I'm Arun. I run this studio called Humming Tree in Kerala. So going back like 12 years, for me or for anyone for that matter, what I would suggest from my experience is I think you need to elevate your confidence. That's really, really important when you walk into that door of interview. It's so important that you have that certain amount of confidence within you that your interviewer or any architect should be able to see. And the second thing is it's always important, as Shilpa was quoting, that dress well, be presentable. You guys are all designers. If an designer is interviewing you, he or she would definitely see how presentable you are. And that shows your personality, right? And the third thing is I would always say to everyone is you need to have your personality in place. If you lack that personality, I think everybody would have some kind of like an innate personality to themselves. I think if you can kind of nurture it and then if you put it out there and you be very honest about yourself and then speak about your portfolio, that's all that matters. Because eventually, one day, you would be aspiring to have your own studio and you'll be interviewing a couple of designers yourself. At that point, the confidence, the way you dress, the way you talk is all that matters. And at last, if you've seen this series called Suits, and you see how R.V. Spector interviews and then understands how the other person know what he wants, and that's all it boils down to. So yeah, I would say these 3 things are important, and then you do you, and that's about it.
Great. Thank you, Arun. So put your best foot forward and, don't be afraid of who you are. What about you, Byram? Any nuggets of information?
But I wanted to only work in New York. So I was in New York, and I knew how difficult it was to get a full-time job over there. So I made sure that I planned ahead of time. So I chose from a very early stage where I wanted to work, and I made sure that I interned there so that I could get one leg into the firm and then I could get a permanent job over there. So I remember when I interviewed there for an internship, most firms are quite open to taking interns, and there was no issue. And I basically begged them, and I really, really planned ahead. I did a lot of research on the firm, and I think I told them I'd work for free at some point. I was that desperate. And I got the job, and then after that, it was very easy to get a job, once I graduated from college, and I'm still in touch with the firm, and yeah, it was actually great. So I would say, try and plan ahead, figure out where you want to work, and start working towards that job at an earlier stage. Don't just apply to 100 places and just see where you land.
Yeah, that's a good one. You know, intern where you want to work. I mean, I find it very irritating when, interns come to us and then, 3 months, 6 months down the line, they are gone. So this is a good way. You've got continuity with the firm. Sonam,
Hi, I'm Sonam Gala from Kiran Gala and Associates. I remember my first interview was with his father, Noza Wadia. I always wanted to work with Noza, honestly, and I remember I think must have sent emails, and I don't think he replied to emails or anything at that point. Finally, he gave me an interview, which is at 8 in the morning, and I remember I was there at 7:30. I was waiting for the office to open. He met me for 15 minutes, and I told him, I really want to work. You give me anything. You give me architectural work. You do whatever. I'm going to come. And he's like, where do you stay? And I remember, I was like, okay, I'm at King's Circle. He's like, how are you going to travel so far? I was like, I'll come in a taxi. He's like, you have to take a bus and you have to come, because I'm not going to pay you that much money.
that's fine. You won't get paid much, okay?
You won't get paid. But I think what I learned from him, I don't think I'll ever forget that. The years of experience that I had with him, I think is fantastic. I learned how to abuse also in Gujarati, Parsi, English, my father's nightmare. But I think what I want to say is, yeah, understand where you want to work, who do you want to work for, what does the firm do, does it resonate with your design philosophy. Yeah, know yourself better and then you apply, and then maybe try and push yourself much more further. And I feel your portfolio should be a little bit more concise and precise rather than sending like 50 pages or whatever you do. And also say what you're good at. You can't be good at everything, honestly, when we aren't good at everything. But I think know what are your strengths, and then you can say you really want to focus on this particular thing. And I think that will help you probably in the future. Thank you.
Okay, Rajiv, over to you.
Hi, I'm Rajiv Khushalani from Khushalani Associates. I want to share all the three jobs that I've done and all the three interviews that I've had. The first two, I was very lucky. I worked in India with Mr. Kiran Kapadia. I got the job through a reference. I went to the interview. He saw my portfolio quickly and he gave me a job. The second one was in London with Raphael Vignoli Architects. Again, I had a friend working in the practice. So this is one thing that, you could, a reference really helps for you to, so you have peers, you have seniors in your college or people you know from the fraternity. Please speak to them if you're looking for a job. Just don't randomly apply. Nobody's going to really look into, because all practices today get, without exaggeration, over 50 applications in a week. So nobody's going to, unless and until they are really looking forward to hiring, they're not going to look at your portfolio. The second job, again, it was quick. They liked the portfolio. They hired me. Now, the interesting thing is I thought that life is going to be like this. The third job is where I really, really struggled. I sent about, without exaggeration, 100 applications in London to studios. Very unlucky time. I was there during the financial crisis of 2008 and 9. Nobody was willing to hire. Again, through a reference, I got a job at a smaller practice called BLDA Associates. They do high-end interiors in London, and that's a place I really learned a lot. So all I'm trying to say is that use whatever resources that you have when you are sending that application. And it's really important for you to, I think, make your portfolio concise, like Sonam pointed out. Don't just send drawings, because we get a lot of applications where people just send, let's say, a working drawing format, some renders. If as a studio, if you're not even, I'm going to see that an applicant is not even going to make the effort of making a portfolio, why would I hire that person? Right? You can't just send those drawings. And put your best foot forward when you present your portfolio and you walk into the interview, like the other panelists said. So yeah, that's about it.
Thank you, Rajiv. So, yeah, can't stress contacts. Every small contact you have. I'm going to share something later about this. Over to you, Shonali. Sorry.
I sat in the correct sequence for you to remember.
Shimona, I'm so sorry, I'm bad with names.
So, unlike the other panelists, I got into interior design by a natural course and not by choice initially. And my learning majorly happened on sites because as a family, we were always growing and, making new homes and new offices. And when I started my product design firm, I started with a product design firm called Smart Work Design Co. because I've studied business, but I was always inclined to design. When I started that, on the side, I was always doing, my own spaces. We gave a franchise in Pune for my product design studio, and I did that. Then I did a lot of offices and then a lot of relative homes. So I thought like that the second, this was very natural for everybody to be designing things on the side because anybody who's creative in the family takes up the, that role in the house. And that's how I was learning. So on site is where my maximum learning happened. And I think what fueled that learning was really curiosity from my side. It was not that somebody was coming me and training me or telling me what to do. And it was, I think whatever I gained was only through what I questioned. Whatever I learned was only when I sat down there and understood. I would sit with the karigars, I would sit with the tools, and in my school also, I opted for a subject called technicals. My school, I was fortunate to be, offered an option of vocational training in which we did hands-on carpentry, we did hands-on welding, electrical work. We made benches for our school. So, I was fortunate enough to get access to that and to drawings. But I think there were a lot of kids who did that with me in school. But my curiosity and interest towards that is what fueled my learning. So I think when people come for interviews to me, I am only looking for that curiosity. I don't expect them to be fabulous designers and to understand every single thing or know proportions or technically, because yes, that's my part. I'm going to give them exposure. But then there are people who are in the industry for 2 years, 3 years working under people and they don't know a thing still. Like they still don't know a standard chair height or what is ergonomically right for any piece of furniture, what kind of lighting works where. That's because they lack curiosity. And I think if you leave curiosity at home, even in an interview, or even when you're applying, when you're writing that first letter, I think what really interests me in wanting to meet a person is when they write that personal letter to me, why they want to work with us, and what they think they can bring to the table with their skills. And I think that personal touch is really important because like everybody said, there are so many applications. You should have a strong reason for wanting to come here because you have to understand a lot of applicants today are only seeing at social media profiles. They're seeing at who has more followers and oh my God, this is such a cool firm and I want to work there. But you need to understand that this has nothing to do with the kind of work that is happening behind the scenes and what kind of work culture is happening there. And you have to be ready for getting through the grind if you want to, make your own social media somehow look like that or achieve the kind of sites that they are working for. Because social media can't tell what really happens behind the scenes. So I think go for, like Byram, Sonam and Rajiv said, that you need to know where you want to work and why you want to work there. And your first job is not because it needs to be something cool or some very interesting looking designer or somebody who has so many followers. That first job has to put you through that grind, has to make you slog and has to make you cry a little bit. And if that doesn't happen, then you're not pushing yourself enough. And that means you're not learning, you're not growing. And the first job only had to be about learning and growing, right? So I think that is what I am looking for people. Are they ready to go through the grind? Are they looking for great work culture, or they love my social media profile, or they're really loving a project that we did or two, or they have strong reasons. Shimona, you're a smaller firm and I feel like I would be able to be exposed to more things, or I want to go through various departments, or put me through extra, or I love people who come to me and say, I'm not doing enough, so please give me more. Rather than putting a resignation, I don't think I'm learning enough here. some designer just shared with me a reason for resignation recently was, I don't think I'm doing enough. And, how are we responsible for you not doing enough, You have to put yourself through it. So I think that curiosity and that spark is what we're looking for initially.
Thank you, Shimona. So yes, your initial contact and why you want to work in a firm is very important. It needs to come across right in the beginning. I'm going to share a little bit about my experience. So, my first job was Talati and Panthaki. I had not heard about interior design. I was doing economics and political science. And I used to work in my holidays. So I landed up at this place thanks to one of my mom's college friends from art school had an art department there. So in those days, interior firms had art departments because you didn't have computers, so you had to do everything by hand, all your drawing, stained glass windows, everything. So I joined, and yeah, and one fine day I was doing some work. Mr. Talati said, why are you wasting time doing this? Why don't you join interiors? And that's it. I quit college and whatever. I was there for 26 years, my only job. So, so anyway, so lots of different approaches of how you should get in. What I'm going to do is, I don't know how much time we have, so I'm going to also open this out to y'all. If anyone has a question, any specific question, I would be happy to take that. No? Okay, you can think about it and we'll come back. So we'll go back to my talking points here. So the one is, what do top studios look for? Yeah. So anyone can take it, or we start in the same order. Shilpa?
I think for us, it's always been about the right attitude and, what that person comes with in terms of attitude. I think that's the most important thing, be it your first email, be it your first application, how you come across as a person, as a personality, as that attitude,
Right.
honesty, your ethic, all of it. The kind of questions that you ask in an interview almost gives us a mirror into you as a person.
Right.
Obviously, everybody has the standard questions and they want to really know, like every interview will end with what are the timings, what are the working days, and that's the drill, and we all know that. And those answers will always come. But are those the only questions that you're asking? Is what we really wonder.
So
Like,
you-
are you really interested in knowing about how we work? What
So
is
y-
the process?
Right. So you look for attitude, you look for honesty, and
I think we also look for a person who can gel in our office environment because
Okay.
we're a small studio. We need people to be able to work with each other.
so
We don't,
attitude again.
yeah. So,
Yeah.
and in that attitude, I need them to be able to work with people. We don't
Right.
need people who are a solo worker. No, I mean, then you can start your own practice, right? So you need to
Team
be a
players.
person who can be a team player, who can also sort of take instructions from a senior, but also be able to confident enough to give that instruction back to somebody else. You can also be that person who's helping somebody who's struggling, in the studio. Be that kind person, because I think what we feel and a lot of people are lacking today when they come to studio is empathy. And
Okay.
I really look for that when we are looking at the person. Are they able to really understand what the problem is? Because if you're not able to understand even the studio level problem, how are you going to be able to understand the client's problem? Or how are we going to find an answer to that? So all of this basically boils down to the attitude, I feel. So for me, it's a lot about that conversation that I have. So before I even call them to the studio for an interview, I almost do a personal phone call with them.
Okay.
After, the screening, the resume, the portfolio, all of that, we also do reference checks. So we look into their resumes. If I see a resume that has jumped every 6 months, I think they just go out of the window. Because if you were not able to stick around to a single job in last 2 years, why would you stick around in my firm? So we also very genuinely ask them the reason they left the previous job, because that gives us an insight into, the way they are thinking. So
True.
again, it all comes down to their sort of philosophy, how they work, how they live, how they are able to be a team person. So yeah, like attitude.
Great. What about you, Arun? What do you look for, when somebody walks in your door?
Yeah, so unfortunately, as soon as I graduated my architecture, I went on practicing by myself. Though I don't advocate about this to a lot of youngsters, I would always urge you guys to go and work under a really good firm and get experience and then start, at least even if it's for 2 years. It's very important for you to understand the ground reality of it. But to answer that in a very short and quick, efficient way, I only look at two things. One is your confidence, and the other thing is, as long as you have the ability to ask questions to your interviewer, is when I know, okay, this is the guy or this is the girl that I want to hire, because I think that's where we know that, okay, you're able to handle things by yourself, because most of them just sit and hear what we have to say. But it's so important that you guys or anyone who's sitting opposite to me ask us questions like, what are the projects that we are handling? What is their scope? What would they be working? Whom would they be dealing with potentially over 6 months, over the course of 1 year? And what would they be learning? Like, you should put forward all your queries and questions, and that's when I know, oh, this dude or this girl is like pretty much knows what he or she wants. And then I don't need to tell you like anyone else to do, what to do or show them exactly where the door is. So that's exactly two things that I really kind of look at.
So don't be afraid to ask.
Yeah, I think-
And again, attitude. All right.
Yeah, it's very important. You guys have to just open up and just ask people and
Yeah,
get what you
because
deserve.
you have a short window to impress. So put it out there.
To me,
Will I go to site?
yeah,
You will go to site.
So
don't
I'm
worry.
actually,
That's
I'm
the
actually
only
going to
question
start
that
on
every
that
person
because
asks.
I beg to differ with what Arun said a little bit for my people I'm interviewing. Of course, it's about the level of candidate that you're interviewing, but
Right.
if the child is just, I mean, if the student is just applied for their first job or just right after internship, I don't think they really know what really goes behind the scenes in an actual firm. And them wanting to take control of how much will I be doing that, how much will, I think that puts me off completely. Meaning they're not ready to surrender to the flow. And I feel like the initial few months, 6 months, and we put that as probation time in our firm, have to be about surrendering to the process and just stretching your limits into whatever you've been thrown at and proving and finding out what you're really good at. See,
Right.
everybody, like Shilpa or Sonam also said initially, that not everyone is good at everything. For
Right.
you to also know what you're really good at, you need to first just surrender to the process. And I feel wanting too much control really puts me off there. I feel like your questions should be more like, would I be able to, do you think I'll be given this kind of opportunity? Or do you think I should develop something? Or are you looking for this? Questions of curiosity, love. But
Okay.
questions that make me feel like you want to know exactly what's going to happen, or I'm not ready to schedule and plan for you right now. So,
Right.
and
But
apart
this
from that,
generation is all about that. Just want to know.
I'm
like,
looking
hit
for
to
the ones who are
bullseye.
not wanting to be in that, because I feel like they want to know everything that's going to happen to them, and it's not possible. When it's not possible for us to know the kind of client we are going to get, the kind of home we're going to build, the kind of design language we're going to pick, nothing is so decided. How can they want to take control of everything? Because the moment things don't work in that direction, without the conversation comes the resignation letter. I think they don't even have the patience to speak to the main designer and discuss it and see how we can explore this, how can I work on this, or how can I improve this situation of mine. That's not happening. The resilience, the will to surrender to the process has just completely disappeared. And I think that's what I'm looking for in this new batch of designers who's coming in.
Good one, Shimona. Sorry, could
I
you
hope
repeat
you had a
that?
good experience. Okay.
Could you repeat that? We couldn't hear you.
I totally agree with her because even I am a designer plus I'm a professor where I teach in Parsons. So recently she hired one of my very bright student, Aniket.
Okay.
So yeah, it's actually for her it was a very good decision.
Okay, great. Please
I'm
send some
looking
my way
forward to
too.
know more from
Yeah,
Aniket.
Okay, what about you, Byram? What do you look for when somebody comes for an interview or a job?
I mean, I'm always looking for people, and I get very few applicants. So I think I'm the one being interviewed most of the time. But I mean, of course, not really. No. I think I've been interviewed enough. But no, I agree. Attitude and stuff. Honestly, one thing that with the few occasions I can be picky and selective is that I look for is how people approach design in their communication. So very often I get emails from people who have spelling mistakes, or have people who make their application or their portfolio with different font sizes and different yeah, I mean it's just so badly communicated, it, and so many times I see the same kind of application with the same format duplicated in everyone's in everyone's application. I still have to hire them, unfortunately, but because I don't have too many choices. But I would say how you communicate, that first communication, the first email, the first introduction, actually knowing the person you're emailing a little bit about them as well. I think that's very important, because if they can communicate well to me, then I know that I can allow them to communicate well to my clients and to my site supervisors and contractors and stuff as well. So I think communication is very important for me.
So yeah, once again, do your homework, communicate well. Um, what about you, Sonam?
I
What do you look
honestly
for?
don't like too many questions because I feel if they
Okay.
start asking me questions, I feel a person is not ready to take on more responsibilities because I think they are scared. And I feel you should be open to doing anything at this point. It's obviously going to be a learning process, and you've selected the place that you want to work. I mean, take whatever's given first of all. Be on time. Be punctual. And take on more responsibilities. Stop counting hours. I mean, honestly, I'm sure everyone's burned their own midnight lamp in all the firms that you've worked for. No one's complained. And I feel what is lacking is this. And now that I'm looking for in people is how willing they are to learn AI as well, because I'm not going to learn. And I want them to know it. Uh, I mean, I've reached my own midlife crisis. I honestly don't want to sit and learn anything.
I like how this is so candid and real.
Yeah, that's lovely.
'Cause I'm not going to.
But yeah, that's what I'm looking for, honestly.
So
Yeah,
we
so
look for
that's
this
good.
honesty, right?
So yeah, do your homework before you come for a job, and be prepared to work, and learn. Because once you come and apply there, it shouldn't be just a casual thing that I've applied to 10 places and wherever I get in. So, if you're going for an interview, you better be prepared, rather than what will I get to do and pick and choose, etc.
Don't mass email, please.
Don't
And
mass
it's
email.
very, very
mass
evident
email.
if the
Yeah.
email is a mass email.
If
It's
the
very
email has
evident.
gone to 100 firms in the same, just at least choose BCC or use Dear,
Keep it personal,
Studio
yeah.
Osmosis or Dear
Keep it personal.
Khushalani. Like, keep it personal because if you cannot take this much effort, it's out of the window.
Okay.
Guys, I'm in support with you guys. Like, you go ask whatever question you want in your life to whomever you want.
No, ask.
And they're
ask
entitled
I
to
questions.
give you the
I
answer.
like people who ask questions.
Whether
and-
whether
and
you're just recently graduated or whether you have 3-4 years experience, you need to know what you're gonna get. And
You know, I
this
think,
is very important
sorry.
in business, that they don't teach you that it's a very shrewd world. And each and every one of you, tomorrow, you're not going to work your entire life, right? You need to have your own career. You need to grow. You need to evolve. You need to set up your own practice. So I totally respect, but I would always, I would get really happy when the other person sitting in front of me ask me question. Now, don't be shrewd and like rude and ask like, what do you guys do? How many projects do you handle? Not that, but in a nice way. If you come put across, it's always good for you and your confidence. And then I will also know that these are the people that I want to be surrounded with because like it just improves the whole ambience. The
Guys, I'm assuming all of you are from Bombay. Arun is going to go back to Kerala,
Yeah.
and you have to apply to all of
To
us.
me.
Do not do what he says.
Yeah, I know. I think Arun is the only one amongst us who's so planned. He really
That's a
knows.
good
Okay,
one.
you'll be doing this. You'll be doing that.
Unless you guys want to go to Kerala, don't do this.
But I think, it makes sense. I guess what comes across is what kind of questions you ask. That is important. Yeah, and the way you ask. Rajiv, what do you look for?
I look for a balance with the right skills and attitude because, we are in an extremely competitive world. Back in the day, it used to be, when I was a student, it used to be three-dimensional software like Rhino, SketchUp, 3D Max, Maya, so on and so forth. Scripting, that's something that we did in college. Now it's AI. Like Sonam pointed out, a lot of us are not well versed with AI. That's going to be a skill and an asset that you guys are going to have when you go to any office, right? So develop these skills, especially when it's your first job. Because when it's your first job, people are looking at skills. I cannot, of course, we as a practice look for team players. The average experience in my office, although we're a very small practice, is 7 years plus. So we look for people like Vistasp who are going to stick around. So,
Dinosaurs are not available anymore.
But when it's young people applying to us who've not worked in a lot of places, we look for skills. We look for the value you're going to get to our practice. So because I think you're teaching in Parsons, I would recommend that your students also acquire these skills if they're applying to practices like ours. Yeah.
Great. So skills. That's very important to bring what's missing currently in most practices, and AI is an important one, and your generation, is well poised to take full advantage of that. Okay, so portfolio basics that everyone overlooks. Is there something that you feel should be there in a portfolio and half the time something specific?
See, because the first thing that you're sending, and before you even meet or talk and get to know the person, is your portfolio, right? And that's what is going to lead to the step 2. So your email, your subject, and your portfolio, these are the only 2 things. I think one big thing that is missing in most portfolios is that they're all looking alike.
Okay.
So, you can't make out one from the other. We all know that there is AI. Yes, AI is a great tool. But if you have made your portfolio entirely of AI, please know that when you come to our studio or most of these studios, there will be a test. We make people sketch, not draft. We make them sketch when they come for an interview. We just want them to think, and we want them to sort of draw anything that's in your head at that point of time. I may give a layout or a detail, and they just need to do that. So whatever is in your portfolio, first of all, needs to be yours. If it is a group work, it needs to mention what you have done. And please show some process. Like, don't throw those sketches out of the window that you thought are not pretty looking, or, they were my option 100 that I, did not use. Those are the things that we are actually looking for. Like, how did you lead to that beautiful final AI rendered, Photoshop rendered image, the process that led to it. So I think for us, we look for that process in between.
That's interesting. So find a way to show the process, not just the final product. Arun?
To be very honest, brutally honest, I really don't check portfolios. Nobody has. See, we live a very boring and busy life. Nobody's going to check portfolios. If at all, if like whoever my admin or the senior architects checks the portfolio. Like honestly, I mean, like I don't know if you agree or not agree. Most of them just don't have time to check. But what if you're writing an email to someone, make sure that it has, that's what I told you, right? It has to be your personality. Otherwise, somewhere where a million of people just writing the same email, it'll just get lost. But if you're this person who has this little bit of humor, sense of humor, having this sass or being smart and then writing an email in such a way that it's like a business proposal, which would catch somebody's eyes is when we get notified, is what has happened to me in my studio. But as long as you keep it innovative and fresh and bring out all your creativity on that, I think we're good to go. Otherwise, if you're sending emails, it just gets lost in the box. So being innovative, yeah, send out something like really have like a pun intended joke or like have that sense of humor, and then write an email will always catch my attention. I don't know about others, but yeah.
Great. Byram, anything you want to share?
I mean, so honestly, even I don't check portfolios. Like I said, I just take anyone who applies. But I don't really check up portfolios. But from my own experience, when I was applying for grad school and then when I was applying for my first job, I spent a lot of effort on my portfolio. And I, in fact, went and I bound a hard copy coffee table book of my portfolio. And when I applied to colleges, I applied to 8 colleges, and every college had the name of the college on the top of my portfolio. And I put so much effort into that. And I find that nowadays people print their portfolios on the cheapest paper, bound the cheapest way, have no pride in it, and that's their work. And so I would say that, yes, I do not check portfolios when they apply, but when they come with a portfolio and it's in front of me, I mean, if it catches my attention, then it's something that I definitely take more seriously from them. So, I know how much time it takes to make a rendering, and I know how much time it takes to do a project in college. So, if you take even like 1% of that time to just put your portfolio together, I think that makes a big difference.
Right. So presentation is everything, especially in our business, because we are all, at the top of what we do. So when you put your work forward, it can't be something that's, even if you've, dragged it around 20 times, make sure you go with something that looks fresh, crisp, well laid out. What do you look for in a portfolio, Sonam?
So when I meet someone, and I think, yeah, of course, I look at it exactly what he says. When you get the paper and then you want to check what they've done. What I want to understand is the thought process behind your thesis that you worked for. I don't want to know the details or the drawings. I want to know, why did you do something that you did?
The process.
Yeah, the process. What's your thought process? What is your design philosophy? And also, I think in your CV, if you could mention a little bit more about yourself, say, do you like to travel? Do you like to read? Where do you get inspired from? Do you love going for walks? What is your inspiration? And I think that helps quite a lot, because I feel all of this is missing. Everyone's just on their phones. You're looking at Pinterest, you're looking at Instagram, you're looking at everything, and that can't be one's inspiration. So I would really want to know what inspires you, what do you like to do. I think that makes it a little bit more personal, and I feel everyone's different, and I feel if that personality is great, as Arun also mentioned, you get to know them better, and I think that kind of helps pick a person, I suppose.
Anybody who applies portfolios to me, I want to get an insight of how their lifestyle is, or what kind of movies that they binge on, what kind of music that they listen to, what kind of art galleries that they go, who are their favorite artists, or where do they get inspiration from? Because that's, at the end of the day, we'll be talking to them, we'll be spending most of our office hours with them. So it kind of gets to, we get to know that person. We'll be able to understand and establish that connection. So that's very important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you're joining a firm, it's like, it is going to be your family. You're going to spend 8 hours of your day there. So I think these things are very important as well. Rajiv?
So, like the rest of the firms here, even I do look at portfolios, but they are screened before I see them. But when I see a portfolio, the first thing, I mean, even before I see anybody's work, because you know you have to go in depth, I see how a portfolio is composed. What are the kind of colors that someone's using? What is the typography? Is it is all the lettering legible in your drawings and things like that? So you have to really print it out, see it on screen before you send it to somebody. So of course, a portfolio has to attract someone. We are in a visual field, and if you have a good visual sense, that will really help you to get through a firm and so, to someone to notice your portfolio. The second thing that I see is, of course, the process of how a project starts. What are your skill sets? If there are some 3Ds, if you've done those 3Ds, or if somebody else has done those 3Ds. And we do realize as a practice, if they are professionally done when you've worked in another firm, and if they are professionally done, what I look for is the details after the 3Ds, and if there are any site images attached. So that's what we sort of see, because we like to keep our projects very close to the three-dimensional views that we give to our clients. So that's what I generally see in an applicant. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a good one. Rajiv actually reminded me of this one interview where the guy walked in and, without any, we are old school, okay, at least I am. And I expect, a hard copy portfolio. So he said, but I, emailed it to you, so can you just bring it up on your screen and we'll go through it? I don't know, that interview was over there. What about you? What?
I actually don't ever hire without a portfolio.
Okay.
I will not, because I think design cannot be expressed in words.
And you're okay with a
And your
virtual
designs-
one, or you?
I
you-
prefer a virtual one. I
Okay.
feel like if they can carry an iPad or a notebook or
Okay.
something to show me a digital image, I prefer that, because the colors are true. And I want to understand their color sense. I want to understand the kind of details they've been exposed to. Now, the portfolio is not to judge
Right.
how they design, but I really want to know what level of skill have they been exposed to. Have they worked with details like that? What is really the level of luxury or the kind of design language that they've been exposed to? It helps me understand them a lot better. Also, we as a firm have a lot of diverse design aesthetics that we work with. So I also try to understand what is it that they would fit better in, what kind of line of work they would fit better in, what kind of team they would work better in. And a lot of my line of questioning on design also happens based on the images that I see. Why did you decide to do this? Do you think you would have done anything differently had I asked you to redo it? Or do you think this material will last? Or so a lot of real life learning that they may have achieved so far comes from the questioning that I do based on what I see from things that they've done. And of course, if they're showing me final images of a site, I prefer it even more, because you know that they've worked on a site that has been completed. And to corroborate with that info, we do now pick up calls and call the designer that they've worked with before and check on this. But I think that real life work that you see, and the more you see, the better. I feel like I cannot hire a person without that.
Right. So also some echoes of
I
what.
would just go to add that
yeah.
you could, you don't really have to do only a 2D portfolio today. You guys are great at movie making, reels, so much. So why stop at a two-dimensional portfolio? Make a small clip. It could be something very creative, very interesting, and that's what's going to catch the eye. Because, eventually there are many forms of presentation. It doesn't have to limit to, because all the portfolios otherwise start looking the same. So, think creative.
Be creative, stand out, and be honest, because yes, we do call up, we know each other. So, be honest, whatever it is, why you left the job or whatever it is, just be honest. And, nothing is ever the end of the road. As you might have realized, we are all looking for stuff. So that's the reality of it. Okay, so this question is quite relevant in today's day and age. What role does social media play in showcasing work and getting noticed by studios? Do you check out applicants, social media handles, etc.? No. So that's a
We-
big
we
no
don't.
from everyone.
Only if they're
So
applying for social media.
Yeah, I mean, that's if they were
Social
applying
media
for
managers.
a social media job, yes, but no, not otherwise.
But
I don't
even
get
that,
into their
no.
private lives.
Yeah.
I don't think it matters.
We normally don't check anybody's social media, but sometimes there are certain applicants with certain life skills, certain skills that they have apart from the normal, be it photography, sketching, a lot of these things where they put it out on their social media. Uh, that's and when they tell us, when they come in for interviews and they show us this stuff, it sort of helps.
I just want to add, sorry, I should say that I was talking more about, entry-level designers. But yet, if you are looking for somebody senior, 10 years, 15 years plus, I think we do all kinds of background check. So social media is definitely an important background check. Trump has clearly told us that. So, I mean, yeah, so senior level, I think everything needs to be done. We can even ask for bank statements if required. Because we need to know whatever salary they have said.
Yeah,
is
I think
true.
the kind of questions that we have on
Yeah.
our portfolio, why are you applying, why did you leave your last job, what is your last salary, what is your expectation, they are the most important
Because
questions.
you're talking about 15, 20 years plus, it's a very different kind of role that you're applying for, right? And
so
whereas,
do you
I
think
mean,
that something should also be on the portfolio, expected salary?
Not the expectation.
Not.
No, because
maybe
I think
you'll come
no.
to that anyway.
But I think now, I think a lot of line of questioning in our studios is changing, where we're also making a lot of IQ-based tests for the first round of interviews. So I feel like people have to really play the brain game better and have curiosity and confidence and really ask questions, not about controlling things, but about what they can really explore and be exposed to. And I think that the one question that I've been asking, and I always ask people who are being interviewed by me, is, will you ever say no to me if I am suggesting something passionately? Will you actually have the courage to stand and say no to me? And I really seek the people who would. And there's a lot of times when I will show them an image and I ask them, what do you think about it? And I really want to hear their strong opinions, even if they know it's my site. I would like to hear criticism because I need them to have a mind of their own. So I feel like that's why we started even like testing people at IQ level, because really, Byram, you're so lucky that you're hiring whatever comes and it's working for you. But I feel like I'm tired of hiring, firing, and I don't want to do that.
That's also my philosophy, because I was given a chance. I didn't have the skills, I didn't have the education. So anyone who walks through my door, I hire them, I give them a chance. They are on, we give them a 6-month probation, and if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. I am not looking for a line at the moment. Okay, so
I'm going to give you access to my email ID where people apply.
okay, so I'm being asked to wind up. So one last question. I think this is important. So how can students? I think most of our audience today are students. How can students reach out to you? What kind of communication do you prefer? If somebody writes to your Instagram handle or email?
Only email, I think. Only
Email. But
only
how do they get your email ID? It's on your
It's
website.
available
Okay.
on websites.
So email
Instagram
is the
handles.
best. All of you feel
The best.
postcards. Oh, lovely.
I
Postcards.
would not.
Okay, drop by. Take a chance. Yeah. So don't be shy. I mean, you can just go there and sit down till they see you.
Don't drop by. Just drop by at Arun's office. Don't drop by. Just send emails. please.
Only emails. Because most of us have people filtering. This
If you want
this
it,
session
you
has
have to
worked
go
out
grab it.
very
Nobody's
well
going
for
to tell
Arun.
you do this, do that, do that. If you want it, if you want $1 million, if you want to be a millionaire, nobody's going to tell do this, do that. You want it, you go get it. If you really want that firm, you know how to make things work. You'll go get somebody you'll get some references. You'll go to their studio, you write postcards, you write letters. I don't think so you guys have so much patience, but I'm just telling you in my parallel universe.
Letters would be
But,
lovely.
but
It'll
yeah,
be refreshing.
you should be able to get what you want, irrespective of what anything and everything that exists. So yeah.
Arun is going to be flooded, and he's taken this whole lot, and he's won this panel discussion if there was an award.
Yes, but he also has to get people down to Kerala, okay?
Yes.
Okay, so once again, opening it out to you guys. If anyone has a question, now is the time before we wrap up. No questions?
Curiosity. Ask questions.
Okay, so thank you very much, everybody, and over to you.
Thank you so much, sir. Can we have huge round of applause? Okay, we'll take one quick question.
So it's not really an important question, but I'm making my portfolio right now, and I've seen a lot of designers have started to make a website. So what would your recruiters like honestly really prefer, like a PDF format or a website format portfolio?
Yeah, I think just very neat, no clutter, just clean images, clean.
You know, the moment you have to take 3 steps to open a portfolio, it'll not be opened.
And the ones that take you to
the
Behance.
shortest way to see the portfolio.
I don't like the ones that take me to Behance.
Exactly.
I hate them.
I don't have a website, so I'd feel really bad if you sent me a website. So I think
Same here.
PDF, yeah.
So in our studio, we don't want so many PDFs which are like, we have a thing like if it's more than 8 MB, it just kind of bounces off. So if your portfolio can be fixed in 8 MB, then it's fine. Otherwise, you upload it somewhere on some website, give us a link on the email, and then we'll click on the link and we'll access your portfolio.
Yeah, I don't know about everybody, but I live on my phone, so it needs to be easy. Okay?
I think just make it easy. All of us want it easy. See, once your portfolio gets accepted and you're in a firm, you'll understand why we are saying this right now.
All right, that answers your questions. Thank you so much. Once again, thank you so much to all the panel members for answering and making it clear to all the young students who are here how to get in, right? So thank you so much. Big round of applause once again.